A new warning tonight about the scope of a massive cyber attack.
Already believed to be the largest cyber attack on our government.
America under virtual invasion. That's what Senator Dick Durbin is calling a massive Russian cyber attack on U.S. government agencies.
In December of 2020, cybersecurity firm FireEye announced they were the victim of a nation-state attack. This sent shockwaves throughout the industry because FireEye was considered a best-in-class security firm, the people you call when you're hacked. They described the attack as incredibly sophisticated, tactics only seen from Advanced Persistent Threats, or APTs. They said the attackers displayed an unusually deep understanding about defensive security and the best ways to defeat it. It's not uncommon for cyber criminals to be incredibly clever and innovative. It's a whole other issue for APTs to not only know how their victims handle intrusions, but also how to successfully hide from incident responders. As most organizations do, SolarWinds had a controlled software development process. It's standard practice to tightly control access to and the modification of proprietary software throughout this process. This is mainly to ensure good quality control of the software development and the subsequent delivery of the company's applications to its customers. Before the software is ready to be deployed to customers as a software update, it's signed with the developer's official seal. During its investigation, FireEye uncovered the source of their intrusion. A SolarWinds software update contained malware that appeared to be signed by SolarWinds. In plain English, SolarWinds software was tainted, and they didn't even know it. SolarWinds conducted its own investigation, and a few days after the FireEye announcement, the company filed a statement to the SEC acknowledging the breach. SolarWinds said the attackers compromised its software development system, specifically a platform called Orion. The attackers injected malicious code into the Orion platform immediately before SolarWinds signed it with their official seal. This meant that the tainted software would then be pushed out to 33,000 customers as an official SolarWinds update. This is what's known as a supply chain attack, using a software maker as a Trojan horse to gain entry into its customers' systems. In its SEC filing, SolarWinds stated the tainted version of its Orion software was pushed out to customers between March and June of 2020, more than 6 months before FireEye would discover the activity on its networks. Of the 33,000 Orion customers, 18,000 were confirmed to have received the tainted package containing the malware. What was most concerning, however, is that SolarWinds had an impressive customer list, including the State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Treasury, and the Department of Energy, all of whom would later be confirmed to have been compromised. This attack was very different from financially driven cybercrime. The attackers used professional tradecraft to accomplish their espionage goals. Not only did FireEye note the attackers' incredible skill and discipline, but they also observed the attackers' acute awareness of operational security. That is, the attackers knew how American cyber defenders were likely to spot their activity, and they took steps to hide their tracks well. Supply chain attacks weren't as common in 2019, and the SolarWinds attack kind of changed all of that. The mere fact that the attackers chose SolarWinds suggested that they conducted research on various suppliers and targeted the one that was most used by the victims of interest. The attackers also created custom malware packages specifically for this operation. FireEye would later call this malware Sunburst, and another one Teardrop. Microsoft's security teams reverse engineered Sunburst, which they internally referred to as SolarGate. As teams throughout the industry conducted their investigations, 2 more custom malware packages were subsequently discovered and named Sunspot and Raindrop. This malware would not only enable the attackers to stay on the victim's network, but also receive instructions from a remote server for further action. And finally, the attackers covered their tracks by deleting log evidence and disguising their activity as routine actions performed on any given network. They did this so well, in fact, that they managed to stay under the radar for over a year before they were discovered. The SolarWinds attack, followed by several other high-profile supply chain attacks, highlighted the need for drastic change not only within the technology industry, but also critical infrastructure. Some compared the attack to a digital Pearl Harbor, and in the following months, Congress held many hearings to understand what went wrong and to solicit advice from experts like Kevin Mandia of FireEye, George Kurtz of CrowdStrike, and Brad Smith from Microsoft. In the first congressional hearing with the Senate Intelligence Committee, Smith testified, "This is the largest and most sophisticated sort of operation that we have seen." Supply chain attacks have only continued to grow as threat actors realize tremendous gain for relatively little investment. The SolarWinds attack was attributed to Russian intelligence based on the evidence and the tactics, techniques, and procedures used in the attack.
America relies on NSA to collect and process foreign signals, understand them, and share them with U.S. officials and
U.S. intelligence agencies say it will be years before we learn the full extent of this attack. As with 9/11, the success of this attack has completely changed the industry and galvanized the government's efforts to secure its networks. Supply chain attacks are here to stay, and we can only hope that we evolve our defenses quickly enough to guard against another SolarWinds type attack.